And good evening. Welcome into the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. I am Mike Ackelson along with my sidekick, Anthony Hartwig. And week 6, pretty much in the books.
Yeah, we're just waiting on, I think, one final, one
Yeah.
game still being played.
Yeah, down there in Wellsville. So
we have announcers right off the jump, Mike, and let's get rid of this message here.
I think Anthony will figure that out. But we can tell you right now that some pretty good games this evening. I mean,
and here's Tim Corso coming to us from,
hey guys,
coming off a really impressive Ursuline win.
Yeah, and the big thing about that one was I thought it would be a dogfight. I didn't think it would be lopsided. And Tim, you had a front row seat for that one, and boy, the Irish looked dominant.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought it was going to be a dogfight, maybe a 2-touchdown win at most for Ursuline. And nothing against Ursuline, but that Fitch team's good, and they're big. And Ursuline had trouble the last time they faced a really big team in Walsh Jesuit, stopping the run, and they just dominated. The first drive, they got stopped on 4th down, Ursuline did. And after that point, Fitch couldn't get anything going. They had a couple of decent runs with Richard and Higgs, but they couldn't throw the ball on Ursuline. They probably completed 6 passes the whole game. And Ursuline's, DC Farrell had 5 total touchdowns. Devontae Taylor had 100 yards and 3 touchdowns, including probably the catch of the year, at least at this point. Their defense, though, they've allowed 16 combined points over the last 5 games, including tonight. And that, they could basically have scored a touchdown all the games in one. And, it was – I'm still at a loss of words because I was just not expecting that. And it got won 35-0 against the teams they beat in the last 2 weeks are combined 8-1 entering their matchups, and they beat them a total of 70-0. It was impressive.
Yeah. So Corso, when I look at this game and I think about the way Fitch had played in weeks prior, it was really defensive football. So what do you think was the difference on Ursuline's offensive side of the ball to find holes in that Falcon defense?
It started off early. Ursuline really couldn't run the ball up the middle much early. They had a lot of success on their outside zone runs, and off tackle. And then they started getting a little bit up the middle, but they tried 3 times on 4th down and short to run up the middle, and they got stuffed every time Ursuline did. But it was really just the diversity and skill they have. It's just, they have Devontae Taylor, DC Farrell, Jaquise Liaison, Tyron Davis, Ray Javy. They have hands down the best receiving core and skill group in the area, hands down. I can say that confidently, and it's honestly, in my opinion, it's not even close. And when you have that much versatility, it really shows in a game like this, I think, because you dominated Hartley, you dominated Deeps, you dominated Harding, and yes, you dominated tonight, but in a team that's clearly really good, who was 5-0, to me, it's like, okay, they have to not guard 1 or 2 or 3. They have to guard 5 or 6 really good players. And that's where they poke holes in that defense because their run defense did a solid job, or their secondary didn't hold up long enough because DC was able to get the ball out quick, and that really opened up the play action game for them, and that really opened up them running the ball because they didn't want to get beat over the top. And it was a complete game.
I'll tell you what, it was impressive to watch. They just never let Fitch get going, which kind of shocked me. Like, Fitch has been pretty dominant, through the first 5 weeks. But what I saw out of Ursuline tonight, a couple things it does for him. 1, it's a lot of computer points moving forward. But 2, it shows me they can probably play with anybody in Division III.
Right. And, I heard after the game, some people be like, well, Ursuline's going to run in Toledo Central Catholic, which at this point, they might. But the thing is Austintown Fitch is not like they're a bad team or an average. That's a team that's going to win a couple playoff games in Division II, and probably the toughest Division II region in the whole state. So that's a team that, that's something that Hoban would do to Austintown Fitch. I'm not saying Ursuline's up there with Hoban, but I'm saying so far they've been as good as you can get in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, and when you think about what this means for the confidence of the Irish too, I like how people are already saying, well, they're going to run into somebody else. It's like, hello, did you see how we just played? They're going to run into us. They're going to run into Ursuline, right?
Yeah.
Right, and I did the stats, and entering the game, Deontay Richard was averaging 9 yards a carry, and Junior Higgs at 5.5. And yeah, Devonta Tate was able to run. That he wasn't throwing much. Well, they have such a huge offensive line. They have 2 really, really good running backs and a mobile quarterback. And for you to shut that run game down and just shut down that whole offense, and then up 28-0, Dan Reardon kicks an onside kick, just to kind of basically say, okay, 2 years ago when you guys played here, we were down by 35 and we ended up losing by 8. We're not letting that happen the other way around. We're ending this thing now, and that was it. They got the onside kick, they scored a touchdown, and that was it.
All right, Corso, I know you have a lot of celebrating to do. We're not going to hold you for long. Thanks for coming on, talking to us about that dominating performance. Great call, and we'll see you back here next week.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You got
Me
it.
too.
Tim Corso, what a game for Ursuline.
Yeah, I mean, you dial us up. I mean, you're 5-1 after 6 weeks, and you just knocked off one of the unbeatens in the Valley. And Fitch has played pretty good.
Let's go to a guy that had maybe the finish of the night. Noah Ricks popping up from Orange, and they had as close to a walk-off touchdown as you can get.
Hi guys, how are you?
Noah, you good?
Yeah.
You still there? Your heartbeat calm yet?
Yeah. So the emotions are really flaring up high from Pepper Pike.
Whew. No kidding. We were watching this game going down the stretch, and Orange driving down, the clock's ticking away. We're saying, man, they might not be able to run the ball anymore. And then here comes Mr. Ty down there, and it's like, oh, well, they can still run the ball pretty well. From your perspective, what do you see on that final drive, that game-winning play?
I saw a lot of confidence from that Orange team. I was talking to Coach Rob Sonor, just really instilling a lot of confidence in his playmakers, just like Jonah Fry, and especially Russell Ty, just bursting up the gut when he had to in the final 14 seconds. So you couldn't have asked for a better storybook ending from what he told me. And there's actually fireworks right now out here on the field, so great festivities here on homecoming night.
There's been fireworks for 4 quarters. That was a fantastic game. And Anthony and I kind of watched as the time was ticking down. We knew they had some timeouts left. Did it concern you at all that like they just dinked and dunked? But again, they were taking what Harvey was giving them.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like Harvey just responding down like 2 scores, but Orange had a response of their own. It's just all about just responding, especially after that tough loss last week against Jefferson and just that really tough loss to a winless team. I think it really motivated these guys to really do better, especially against a tough CVC opponent. That is Harvey. Harvey really had them down the stretch and really had them like all 4 quarters of this football game tonight.
No, one of the difference makers in this game for Orange, and it was really a problem for them last week too, the penalties on both sides of the football. Talk about what you saw. I mean, were all of them pretty much fixable? Were some of them kind of questionable? What did you see from that situation with their football team?
So I saw a lot of fixable penalties. It was mostly like false starts and holdings. Obviously, stuff to like correct on in game film, especially next week, especially when you're going against a very tough Perry squad on the road. So that's going to be a huge challenge. But Coach Centers he told me that they're just going to sit on it tonight and just enjoy the win, enjoy homecoming, and just pretty much just get this storybook ending. And hey, actually, fun fact, Mama Kelsey was in the house tonight, so it's going to come better than that.
Mama Kelsey.
Yeah.
Wow.
In the house.
How about that?
No, you should have worked up an interview, man. You should have gotten her on the broadcast.
Yeah, I actually just found out she was a 1970 graduate of Orange, so you learn something new every day.
No.
We were this
How about
close.
that close.
That close.
Could have been new heights.
I know. Let's go. That's awesome, man. Now we're looking ahead to Orange, a tough CVC slate the rest of the way. No, what kind of momentum do you think this gives them?
Oh, it definitely gives them like a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum going forward. I think they really have a lot of confidence to take down that Perry squad next week. They're going to have to like go hard on the game plan, go hard all week in practice, because Perry's definitely not going to be that pushover, and hopefully they can pull off that upset next week on the road.
They have this quarterback named Walter Moses who's going to Toledo. Maybe you've heard of him.
He's pretty good.
He'll be a pretty big hurdle for Orange, but they have what it takes to get over it. We've seen that plenty of times. Noah, thanks for copping on. What a game. What a call, my friend.
Yeah.
Great job, and we'll see you back next week.
Yeah, and congratulations, Orange.
Yes.
5-1 after their struggles the last few years. Just a fantastic game for them tonight. What a way to end it.
Yes.
Especially after losing the last week to a Jefferson that on paper, we saw how good Jefferson looked this week, so not going to take anything away from the Falcons. But on paper, you're bringing a winless team into an undefeated team. You feel like you should win that game. You'll lose it. That's got to be a big blow to the ego.
Oh, absolutely.
A little bit, but they just went right back to the
I like their respond game.
Right back to work and said, you know what? We're not going to let our season be defined by one game.
And not only this, it also showed me that they weren't looking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't afford to because they had to get this one.
So we have another announcer in the can here in the green room, Ty Bartell, coming from us. He was in Ravenna and got to call Southeast and Garfield in a dominating Garfield G-Men team. Ty, I've said it the last couple of weeks, man. G-Men in the league, different monster than what we saw G-Men outside the league. They take this so seriously, the dominance they've had inside the MVAC. What did you see from Garfield tonight?
I mean, what we saw was all pretty quick, and that's what I said too back on the Power Hour. I said we're probably going to be, I'm probably going to be out of here early. I was able to get my little Wendy's Frosty in time too. Not a sponsor yet, of course.
Nice little plug. You got to get them to
not
sponsor
a sponsor
you.
yet, but we will love you, Wendy's, for coming through, no doubt. No,
I'm just glad you have wall decorations behind you.
Yeah, I know, right? I get to go in the corner of the house too. The old recliner today. No, man, that was Garrettsville Garfield football at its finest, man. They were ground and pound. The weather kind of played right into their favor. You had a young man, Devin Bates, that rattled off 3 touchdowns in the first half, already had the hat trick. They put 2 more on the ground by Bagucki. He scored twice. He was kind of their big yard gainer. He had 100+ yards on the night too. I think he got that in the first half as well. 6 rushing touchdowns tonight for the G-Men, and I mean it was a Garrettsville Garfield performance that you expect all the way through. That phone booth style football that Coach Moser likes to play. The Pirates played right into their game plan, and they really didn't have a chance after that first score from Garrettsville Garfield. They started getting it right into the way they like to play the game, and Southeast really couldn't get them out of that mojo.
No, and it was just typical G-Men football, like you said. And as impressive as that offense is, it's what they turn around and flip on the defensive side of the ball.
And I mean, it was, and this game was getting chippy too. It was so much so. I mean, it was running clock in the fourth quarter, 8:45. Refs said we're done because they kept on going into the sidelines. The kids were they were talking a little bit. This is an old school Portage County rivalry, though. This goes back way long ago too. So getting this kind of renewed in the conference, in the county too, it's nice to see. But I mean, they were getting a little bit chippy with it. But refs were saying we're done with it. We're going to pull the plug on this one. But no, Garrettsville Garfield defensively, they were shutting them out until the fourth quarter. They were able to get a score. Was Southeast in the fourth quarter. Briar Picana, who else? That sophomore sensation for the Pirates. He's going to be a name to watch as weeks go by. But no, man, Garrettsville Garfield, and they're young. They have a lot of guys that are underclassmen too, that are standing up and doing big things on this defense too. Young man, Mr. McGranahan too. I know that family pretty well too. Defensive back over there. He does some work over there for them as well. A lot of great young talent on that Garrettsville team, no doubt.
Ty, I don't know if you've watched the scoreboard today. Crestview looked pretty dang impressive today inside their MVAC matchup. They're like the new shiny toy in the MVAC right now, but Garfield's that like all-knowing presence that's always been there. Some people are starting to talk about it's Crestview's year. What do you think? I mean, like Garfield has that league swagger where they don't have to meet each other all the way until I believe week 9. So what's it going to be like watching these two teams go down the stretch and kind of like a freight train heading towards each other to week 9?
It's going to be physical. I mean, I can guarantee you that it's going to be real physical week 9 with the way these two teams play football. I mean, I don't know, man. These two teams do a lot of things well, and they're really similar in a lot of positions. They have really good running attacks. They have a really good line. They're big. They're strong. They push you around. They hit you in the mouth, and they tell you to get up so they can do it again, right? Like that's the way they play football. I love Garrettsville Garfield, though, man. They're the type of team that they don't care who's in front of them. They're going to play their style of football. They don't care what you're going to do on the other side. They just know they're going to play their style of football, and they're more times than not, they're going to come out successful. You talk to Coach Moser too, and he talks about it too. He doesn't see all these positions in football. You got the line, you got a running back, and you got tweeners. That's it. It breaks down into 3 positions of football for Coach Moser too. And I love the way that they make it work over there in Garrettsville, Garfield. They find different ways to be successful at the high school football level, and that's what I love most about it.
Now, next week they have Liberty coming to town, Mike.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it. Liberty might be the only team in the MVAC that's not going to try to play the same style of football that Garfield does. I mean, they're going to be spread you out, use their athleticism, and that has given Garfield a little bit of shakiness in the past in this matchup. I think there were a couple of matchups a few years back where Liberty got a lead at least at some point in the game. So what does Garfield have to do against a team you think against Liberty where they're not going to try to outmuscle Garfield like other teams just have to, because that's the style of football they're built for? They're going to try to outrun and spread out Garfield and make sure that team can't conduce them into a phone booth, like you like to say.
You know, and that's the thing, too. And Briar Pecan out of the backfield for Southeast, he got out for some big runs tonight. And I think going forward, too, I mean, I know it's a different position, but you go into Liberty with DeJuan Moody, and that's a young man. He can throw the ball, but he can get up on his horse, man, and he can start galloping down the field. And that's the thing. If I'm Garfield, I would say you're going to need someone spying him almost at all times, too, because he's one of those guys, too. Like you said, Ant, he's explosive. And what I saw tonight, there was some pretty big runs from Pecan. And I mean, if you get a guy like that, Moody too, who's just as, if not more athletic than the Southeast sophomore, I think you could see a lot of those type of explosive plays burn Garfield if they're not prepared for it, or if they're not going to start practicing defensively against it. But I do think that what they were seeing tonight could help them into next week's matchup too, kind of shore some things up to try to prepare for the very talented, athletic, and versatile quarterback in DeJuan Moody.
Oh, I think they'll be ready for him. You know how the G-men approach each week. They don't, they'll celebrate for a little bit tonight.
They're probably already done.
They're probably already breaking down film.
Yeah.
You know how it
On the
works.
way in the bus ride back, get your tablets up, get the phones ready. We're going to be watching this.
Yeah.
They skipped the Frosty. They were like, you know what? Let's go right.
Yeah,
They don't go.
They're not like
Coach
me.
took all their
post-game treat.
Coach took all their Frosty cards before the game. Said, "You're done. You're done."
On a serious note, too, there was a serious injury. One of the Southeast players. I don't want to put the name out there, too, but thoughts, prayers, obviously thinking about you, buddy. Too, is a little bit of a rough scene. Medical personnel got involved too. Nothing you ever really want to see. You never want to see it on Friday nights, too. So thoughts and prayers to that player. Hopefully, we see you back out on the gridiron soon.
Yeah, we definitely never like to see it.
We don't like to see that at all.
As a company, we always cut away from it. We never talk about it. We don't like to.
It was a long delay too. I know. I was getting a couple questions too. Just want to put out an update, but it's not my business to put it out there too. We'll see what it will. Hopefully, we can. We'll get some good news on that though. But thoughts and prayers, no doubt, to that young man and his family.
You handled it like the pro you are. Way to go, buddy. We're proud of you. Good job this week. We'll see you back for football. Week 7 coming up.
Can't believe it, man. 70% of the way through the season already. Can't you believe it? Nice week, guys. Nice week.
Yeah. See you, Ty.
Ty Bartell, Southeast and Garfield. Garfield with a big dominating win, like we're so used to seeing them do.
Yeah, it's just typical G-men football. And there's a reason when people say Garfield and everybody else goes, G-men.
G-men.
Yeah,
and it has
there's a
nothing to
reason.
do with Chris Berman, what he used to
No, not at all.
It's all the people in Garfield.
Yeah, that's how they roam. That's how they roll. So
I think there's also a reason why their logo is a train.
Yeah.
Because it's an unstoppable force.
Yeah, once the wheels get in motion and once it's full speed ahead, you're done.
No way. I wouldn't want to get in front of
Fun to watch too. Just absolutely. I love when we can tune into Garfield.
What I love about them, Mike, and there are other teams like this we will talk about. You know what they're going to do. You know exactly what to do, and you can't do anything about it.
This is what I think. You're a coach. Okay, we've played them. We know what they're going to do. And they literally look you in the face and say, stop what we do.
It's like having a blueprint to build a house, but you're sitting there with nothing but duct tape and
Duct tape, toothpicks, and toothpaste, not cement. I mean, it is. I mean, it's crazy. And it's one of the things that makes high school football fun because you know what they're going to do, but you can't stop it.
Nope.
Yeah. They dare you to stop it. And if you do, they adapt quick enough that they have little other game plans or other ways to block what they want to do. And it works perfect. And Cardinal Mooney did that for years.
With Garfield, they make you stop it for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
They know what they're good at. You stop it for a drive or two. They're not going to be like, well, we have to abandon it now. No, they're like, hey, you know what? If you can stop us for 2 drives, 3 drives, try stopping us for 12 drives.
Yeah, because we're going to pound you into submission. And the train might hit a few bumps.
As soon as you that offense, that wing T,
oh.
As soon as you think you have it bottled, there goes a big run.
Yeah,
break it out.
Absolutely. So it's all good.
We got the scoreboards, Mike, and I think it is all updated now.
We may want to refresh before we click it on.
I hit refresh.
There
I think we're good. I think we're good. We learn our lessons. We
did. I remember last week hit refresh, guys. The Burnett pools and spas.
Yeah, I could use a spa with the winter coming up, a nice little hot tub.
Yeah, I did not like that temperature. It's still warm outside, but it doesn't feel like it's in
that
the 70s.
rain, the moisture,
the dampness. No, don't go for
Burnett
that.
Pool Spas and Hot Tub is your sponsor of the YSN Scoreboard. It can be found yourself at ysnlive.com/score. So let's go over them. We'll start on. I don't want to scroll. I want to scroll down.
There we go.
And then, you'll start in PA.
Yeah, we jump across the border in Beaver. This game started at 7:30 and it was over about 7:42. Beaver took no prisoners against McGuffey tonight. Very impressive win for them. I love the fact that they're part of our family here as we've, now gone up to 2 schools in Western Pennsylvania. But congratulations to them. That was just a great output. And then one of our games of the night. Absolutely.
And it's another
tremendous game. Alliance and Salem, 20-16. It appeared Salem got a first down.
Yeah, it certainly looked that way.
An Alliance player's hurt, and all of a sudden, we're going to measure.
There was a lot to break down in that play.
Yeah.
Salem goes, they don't have any timeouts left. The clock's ticking away. They get a first down, but there's 5 seconds left, so they're not going to be able to stop the clock. But an Alliance player was hurt, so that was going to stop the clock. But then while they're attending to that Alliance play, the referees go, maybe we should check this spot to just make sure it's a first down. They measure it, and it was out of the movies, out of what you see on TV. This guy, the ball was about maybe 6 inches short of the first down.
It's a game of inches, and that's literally what it came down to. And just another heartbreaking loss for the Quakers.
What you tell that team, if you're Coach Ron John, and he's a great coach, he'll probably tell them this too. You just got to keep trusting the process. That's all you can do. We'll take the scoreboard down real quick because we have an announcer popping in. And it's a guy that we missed last week. Good to have him back on the show, Mr. Derek Rhodes.
How you guys
Welcome
doing
back.
this
He's
evening?
got the jersey hanging and everything.
I know, man. He's ready.
I like your homemade studio.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the jersey of my loving girlfriend. She's a Lisbon alum, and they took one on the chin tonight with the Eagles going 42-0.
Showing him some love. You're trying to cushion the blow a little bit.
You're playing nice. Well, you're playing nice right now.
Absolutely. And that Lisbon team really did fight tonight, but 3 Colin Wells rushing touchdowns. Sidney Casto, 64-yard INT return for a touchdown. It was all Eagles tonight, gentlemen. Yeah.
Very impressive win for United. And it's a rivalry game. When you talk about 2 schools that rival, it's right there. And usually you throw out the records, you throw out everything. But tonight, boy, the Eagles came there with something to prove. Mm-hmm.
They did, and they did go to a running clock in the second half, and Lisbon controlled the ball for 10 minutes of the third quarter. Then all of a sudden, how did that go? 2:25 to go. United stops them on downs. The next play was a 35-yard touchdown run by Colin Wells. So it was a tough night for Lisbon, and United is moving forward. Valley Christian and East Palestine to end the season. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be great finish to the season. I mean, they've got, you look at what's ahead for United, yes, Latonia, Wellsville. Wellsville gave Valley Christian a game. It was close for a while.
So as I announced halftime scores, that was a one-score game, and then I looked and checked in, and it changed dramatically in the third quarter. Yeah.
Well,
second half, it was all Andy Hake.
What happened was Jay-Sean Lindsay looked down in his jersey and realized who he was.
Yeah.
And he wanted to remind everybody else who he was.
Yeah. Yeah. Second half, it was totally. I would love to know what Andy Hake said at halftime.
He said,
because I know it was a vintage Andy Hake speech. That I know.
Right.
But
so
the Eagles from the first half of the second half. Yeah.
I think his speech was, let's get Jay-Sean Lindsay the ball a little bit more.
And let's start playing Valley Christian football.
Hey, see that guy over there? See that guy over there? Let's get him the ball.
Yeah.
And they did.
We may want to use him.
And that kid is so good. He'll wear you down like crazy. And then all of a sudden, you can't stop him anymore.
And I want to keep pushing on this one thing with Coach Ogilvie that I just love. Thomas Brown, the sophomore, when we talked last, they put a play in that he threw a pass to the leading receiver, who's now quarterback, Parker Newburn. So last week at Southern, that was the go-ahead score for the Eagles. Well, Mr. Thomas Brown tonight took a direct snap and took it in for a 54-yard score. Yes, a 54-yard touchdown run. So the sophomore, Thomas Brown, backup quarterback, getting some run. Coach Ogilvie just putting in parts and putting in something new every week. It's so exciting to watch.
All he is doing is whetting their appetite to make them want more.
It's
Derek,
great.
The last time we talked, we gave you homework. I want to know how much progress you've made on this. Did you make any progress on the word puzzle?
No, I have not made any progress on the word puzzle, but I have.
Derek.
I have not. But for as far as the tuba player and the fire tonight, it was a safety issue, so we couldn't do it with the high winds.
If he would have done it in the rain, you know how much that would have been awesome? Yeah, I could do it in the rain. My fire stays lit.
We got two more chances. We have two more chances, and I will get back to you on the T-shirt. I promise.
What's a little win? I mean, it's only an eyebrow or two you could lose. Right. And hey, them Majorettes did a great job tonight. They still had their fire twirling going in 26-mile-an-hour easterly winds tonight. So. All right, so then it wasn't that windy. Somebody made an audible call for the tuba player.
Safety first, gentlemen. Safety first. Safety first.
Someone went, can.
Somebody on him.
And shout out, Larry Scragg came up and joined me tonight, gave us the two-man booth. It was great. He had a lot of insight.
Way to step up, Larry.
Absolutely, man. We love him for that. And next week, Latonia. So we'll talk to you then.
Another rivalry game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like every game's a rivalry for United.
It's right. Hey, we're at this point in the season. Everyone matters.
It does, absolutely. Hey, we appreciate you taking time to come on in, and please work on that T-shirt slogan for me. I need to know.
Don't
fail us, Derek.
Go right to Coach and ask him and tell him I asked.
Yeah, be like, Mike,
I'm gonna name drop, Mike. I am gonna name drop.
He'll just shake his head. I know DJ. He will just be like, Mike again. Thought I got rid of him.
I thought he was done with that guy, man.
So much for retirement.
Fantastic. And I didn't catch the end, and I didn't get a chance to check. How did the Bulldogs do in Palestine tonight?
Not
good. Southern Local came up there and took out some frustration.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Because that was a 1-point game at one point. Wow.
It was close for a
Yeah.
while, but it ended up it was 44-21, Larry. Or
Oh.
Derek, I'm
And
sorry.
a lot of those 21 points were scored late. Derek,
Yeah.
they found out what United found out last week. That Southern defense is no joke.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a tough team. Well, hey, thank you guys. I appreciate the time, man. Love doing what we do. Go Eagles.
There you go.
So,
See you next week.
Yes, sir. Take care.
I like that. Hanging the Blue Devil jersey up while he's talking about United football, beating them up. Like
He was just trying to make some brownie points at home. That's all that was.
Nothing wrong with that, but
Yeah. Saving a little face.
when we're talking about that, and it'll pop up on the scoreboard as we get to it. But that when we get Southern versus Valley Christian,
Cool.
the more that's looking really good.
It is.
So we were only 2 scores into it. Once again, a heartbreaker for Salem.
Yeah. And then, as we talked right off the top, what a win for Ursuline tonight. They really clicked on all cylinders. That's going to actually pay off for them down the road. And Fitch, this is probably the right time you want one of these games because now you got time to fix it. You don't want this starting week 11 or week 12.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the things they got away with last couple of weeks, the not scoring efficiently, relying on that defense. I'm not saying the defense doesn't win a lot of ball games, but at the same time, you have to realize that, like, especially in high school, you're going to run into an offense that you're going to have trouble stopping, and you have to be able to score with them. And they just could not get anything going offensively tonight.
Yeah, and then as we move along here,
Crestview's moving along.
Wow, they were clicking on all cylinders. I actually feel bad for Brookfield. They ran into the proverbial buzzsaw tonight, and it was Rebels with a yell. I mean, they came out and they played a really good football game.
The coaching staff is probably happy that a lot of that game was covered up by the mud, the rain on the camera.
Everybody
don't look at it.
Well, and it's funny, like people don't realize, like what's wrong with the camera? Well,
it's a huddle cam outside.
It's outside, and when it gets wet, somebody's got to, until they can figure it out.
Until
they
somebody
don't wipe
did
it off.
Somebody got out there and wiped it.
I did see somebody made a statement earlier, like, what happened to the Springfield game? Well, here's what happened, and we're going to break from form here for just a few seconds. Yes, we were at the Springfield game.
Yep.
We were shooting it. We were outside. Our crew was on the roof. And guess what does not like rain?
All of our equipment.
And once it starts to get wet, it'll just cut out on you.
Yep. And that we talked to Matt Romeo already. Just wanted to get a final from them. And he said the rain in Jackson Milton kind of came out of nowhere. So he had to get out in a hurry to make sure that equipment was safe. So we could have future broadcasts with Matt Romeo later on the season. Because if his equipment's gone, he's in a tough spot.
Yeah.
So Matt Romeo kept the equipment safe like we're all told to do.
So we will apologize that we weren't able to show you the entire game. We got you half the game, and quite frankly,
you needed.
Yeah, you saw the best part of the game. The Tigers took care of business. So it's nothing that we do on purpose to let's shaft it. We're not doing that. We literally sometimes have to shoot outside of our element. And when there's not enough room in a press box, we're outside. And when the elements come, you got to deal with it as best as you can. And it's proper to save that equipment, because I would much rather be shooting them in week 11, week 12 than maybe having one of our guys down for the rest of the year.
Yep. Hey, it's 2024 and Mother Nature is still undefeated.
Yeah. Never ever lost a game. Ask the people in Florida right now. Or coming up through the midsection of North Carolina what it's like. Hey, Canfield, I feel bad for the Cardinals because things are tough.
They fought against Dover.
They fight.
And they knew it was going to be a tough one. They were down by 10 at halftime, 17-7.
Yeah.
They just couldn't have enough there.
Yeah, couldn't quite get it done. And this, I know people say 7-6 is not a good game. You want to talk about a defensive just battle. There it was. And kudos to Louisville.
Finally winning a close game. Their wins before this were blowouts. You didn't have to make plays down the stretch.
Yeah.
And they lost the close games they were in. All their losses so far this year, all 3 of them, have been one possession games.
Yeah.
So they finally won one
Yeah.
that they got close, and they needed to make those game-winning plays on the stretch.
Glad to see the Leopards back on the winning side of things. And then LeBray, no problem with Champion tonight, 34-14.
Yeah,
The
Champions
Vikings,
having one of those years.
yeah, Champion's struggling, but when the Vikings come to play and they've got things going, they're tough to play. Latonia, Columbiana came in there and just they laid one on their arch rival tonight.
They did.
49-6 final from that one. And then as we move along, good win for East Liverpool, going down to Cambridge, getting that win.
And it's a big one. It's a blowout win. It gives you a lot of momentum headed forward.
And then Fairport Harding over Grand Valley, 43-14. That game was close for a little bit, and then all of a sudden Fairport, they just kind of pulled away late in that one.
Those skippers, man,
Yeah.
they'll get away from you real quick.
And as Ty talked, Garrettsville, Garfield, they're the real deal. They came in and they renewed a rivalry with Southeast, and I didn't realize the game was stopped. But, hey.
I think
kudos
Ty
to
was
the
saying that they put a stop to the chippiness.
Yeah.
Not the actual.
Yeah,
the
with 8
game-
minutes, just
game
finish
went on.
the game.
Yeah.
Just finish the game is what they wanted.
Yeah.
And Geneva all over Edgewood tonight, 48-0 as they pitched a shutout.
Edgewood's offense was electric last year. They lost so many seniors. They're still trying to find identity. And I'll tell you what, if you're trying to find teams to play when you're trying to find offensive identity, don't think the Geneva Eagles are one of those teams you want to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably one of the ball games of the night was up in Trumbull County. This Lakeview Girard game, defenses turning away offenses inside the 20 a couple times. Girard found a way to win late in the game. Lakeview, we're thinking they're mounting a game to tying drive, and the Indians
Stop.
defense, big stop as they come away.
And
with
their
the win.
defense has been playing well of late. I mean, they held Struthers for a while. We all know what happened in the second half, 28 unanswered points. They washed that off. But last week they went down to Pymatuning Valley, allowed the Lakers to only score 13 points. And now here they are with the Lakeview team coming off a 30-plus point performance, and they only give up 6. So
Yeah, absolutely.
defense looking really good.
And what else
Game of
can
the
we
night,
say?
right?
Yeah,
Game of the night.
absolutely fantastic. Harvey scores late.
With about a minute and 2 left.
Yeah, take the lead. Orange, hold my Gatorade.
Yeah, the good thing for Orange is they had all 3 of their timeouts.
Yeah.
And their bread and butter is running the ball with Russell Ty. And boy, did they ever, because on the 35-ish yard line,
Yeah.
with about 20 seconds left,
Great
just hand
call.
him the ball because you had timeouts you could afford to.
They did. They still had 2 timeouts left.
Right
And
in
it
the
was
middle.
funny because right before that, they had a play where the kid was open in the flat.
Mhm.
And I think he could have got good 10, 12 yards,
Yep.
and the QB missed him. And I'm thinking, well, they're going to pass here now because it's third, and you're thinking, and you're like, yeah, they're going to run. You even called it. You said they were going to run the ball, and boy, they did.
When you have a running back like that, he's always on the table. If you have time, especially if you have timeouts left, and that's such a luxury because he just took the ball and he just boom, touchdown.
Yeah.
I think Harvey was thinking the same way you did. Like, this is a pass play all the way.
Yeah. And that's
And when you're
honestly,
playing that
it's-
shell defense with
yeah.
everyone deep,
wow, that looked like a prevent.
mhm.
Is what that and the
30-yard
only thing it did
prevent,
was prevent them from winning.
Exactly. Woo.
And
But
then,
zing.
yeah, and then speaking of zings, how about the sting Hickory did to the Red Dragons
Hickory
tonight?
dickory dock, man.
Whew. Hornets come across the state border and walks home with a 49-0 win over Niles. Things have not gone good for the Red Dragons
How
this
about
year.
Jefferson? Winless through 4 weeks. Last 2 weeks, 100 points combined.
Yeah, something.
Pretty good.
Somebody hit a fuse over there that has lit some switches.
I
So.
think Coach Hanna said the right things.
Yeah, he's wanting to keep that going. And as we talked, Derek was on earlier, United with the shutout over Lisbon. They're looking pretty good, and they got a sophomore that's going to be a player to watch.
And then Lowville responded to adversity. Middle Ridge takes the lead in this one, 27-26. And then back-to-back touchdowns for Lowville. They put it away.
Yeah, they do. Another tough one for Lakeside. Madison walks in there, gets that win 42-6. And how about Wyndham?
Oh, that's a bomb shelter alert because
Wow.
Bombardiers running wild.
Yeah, they really look good in this game tonight.
Really good in every game.
But it was funny because we start our Audible call show, and you and I, we're busy. We're trying to get to every game that we can. And I turned to you. I'm like, we need to get to Wyndham. And you're like, huh? I'm like, they're going up 3 scores,
What
man.
was the game that was 8-7 in 52 seconds? Do you remember that? There was a game that was like 13 points or 15 points in like under a minute.
Yeah, there was 2 touchdowns.
Was that the Orange game?
It may have been the Orange
feel-
game. I remember saying it to you, and
they all meshed together, but I looked at you and I said, "There's no way."
yeah, I actually think it may have been the Orange game. I think they scored real quick, and then I think Painesville Harvey
got the kickoff return.
returned the kick in that one. And how about West Branch? We knew this one was probably going to get that way.
Mhm.
They put up 50 in the first half.
I mean, Minerva's their program's getting better, and I think everyone you talk to will say that, but they're not nearly go up to West Branch and play the Warriors better yet.
Yeah. And then Liberty,
second half of the season team, we see this every year. Liberty
Yeah.
with a tough start, and then all of a sudden they kick it into gear, and they end up one of those teams that's in the conversation for playoffs.
Yeah.
It
And
happens
then,
every season.
yeah. And then speaking of good teams,
Perry,
pretty good.
State champs for last year.
Yeah.
And up a division this year. They know they have a lot to prove in Division 4 now, and
Looking to maybe defend something.
defend something. Maybe Division 4 is a gauntlet.
Well, and this Lutheran West program's no slouch.
No.
So Perry
Perry
taking
Orange
care of
next
business. Yeah. How about Orange? Biggest game in Orange probably in the last
Got to be.
8 years maybe. And then another game of the night.
This
And,
one was wild.
well, here's what I'll say. I give Poland all the credit in the world because they come in there and they threw a haymaker.
They did.
And they're up 14-0. And then South Range, and I called it. I said they had to score on that next drive, and they did.
That
And-
was their sustained drive. And then things just, for a little bit, Poland got back on track, but for a little bit, they went really awry for Poland really quick.
They
We
did.
saw a block punt for a touchdown.
Interceptions.
Interception that got South Range into like the inside the 10.
Yeah.
Another touchdown. Just before they could even blink, they were down 28-14 at halftime. And they were like, weren't we just up 14-0?
Yeah.
But they came back.
They didn't quit.
They didn't quit at all.
Yeah.
They had a chance. They had the onside kick. They could have gotten the ball back with a 1-score game. Onside kicks are brutal in high school. You don't have a lot of room there because you can't jump like you can in every other.
Right.
So,
Well, and as much as I'll give Poland credit, they didn't quit. They came there, and nobody was expecting them to win tonight.
no, I don't think so.
But I'm going to give South Range some credit, too, because they took that punch.
Yeah.
And that bullseye on their back in conference play is massive.
You know what this does for South Range? It answers because the only questions I've ever heard this year. Okay, but what do you do in a close game? How do you respond in clutch situations? That's how we respond.
Well, I know this. 2 weeks in a row, South Range has had to play a whole game.
2 weeks in a row, a blocked punt for a touchdown changes the whole
Complexion.
dynamic of the game. How about that?
And what it did for them, I'm looking at Joe Itel right now. What it did for them, that is a massive point game for them because Poland's now in their division.
What people don't talk about with South Range, and we've seen it now, special teams is a difference maker. We've seen kickoff returns for touchdowns. We've seen long field goals. We've seen blocked punts for touchdowns.
Yeah.
Their special teams is on it.
Now, one other thing, flip it the other way. Didn't force a turnover, but they pinned Poland deep on a couple kickoffs tonight, like inside the 15.
Special teams.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's there. It's like
it's not an afterthought for this coaching staff.
no, there's offense, there's defense, special teams.
They have a field goal kicker that is good.
Yeah, and it's funny because like when you watch some other programs, boy, our offense is good. Our defense can play with anybody. How's your special teams? We go for 2 every time we score. You got to develop that special teams, and I'm just going to give South Range credit because they got it.
We got kind of excited because they rolled out the field goal unit.
You thought,
and it would have been like a 59-yard field goal, which we did the research. That's 2 yards shy of the state record. The state record's 61. And I just thought, hey, why not? You're in a game that you're up by 2 possessions. Give the kid a chance to make some history. Definitely has to be the school's record if it's that close to the state record.
Oh yeah.
But the cooler heads prevailed. Took a timeout, punted it. They pinned Poland back
Pinned
pretty
them
deep.
into 2.
Poland still went down and scored though, so props to Poland for that drive. But
Ate up
it
a
would have
lot
been
of
cool.
time.
It would have been cool.
Yeah.
It would have been cool.
Yeah.
If he got that chance. Now, if he misses it, I get it. Poland still had a chance with 2 scores back, and they would have had the ball at, almost midfield. But I would have liked to. I would have liked to see the chance.
Yeah. Pie Valley with the shutout tonight over St. John. The Lakers looking pretty good.
Just the one loss to Girard by 8 points. So.
Yeah, they'd like to have that one back. And as we talked earlier, Southern local goes into East Palestine. This was a game for a while.
It's a game, and then it wasn't, and then East Palestine with some late touchdowns to make it look closer than it was.
And then Springfield all over Jackson Milton, 40-3 there. The Tigers, they're on a roll. They got some big conference games coming up.
The rain didn't help because it fed right into the way that the Springfield Tigers want to play football.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was Hubbard, tough times. They have gone back-to-back games with
8 quarters, no touchdown. And for Struthers, big bounce back win, because it could have been easy for them to be flat coming off that loss to South Range. But Struthers took care of business there. And then as we move along, Beaver local, that Union local team's pretty good.
Yeah, the Jets live up to their name.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Valley Christian, this was a game for a little bit. And, again, as we talked, that second half, totally different game.
The way Valley Christian plays football, play 4 quarters that way for Wellsville was just too much. Yeah.
And then McDonald, they get the shutout over Waterloo, 35-0 there. How about Western Reserve, 6-0, still perfect on the season as they beat Camel tonight, 36-13. And then across the border, Mohawk, rivalry game as they beat neighboring Union. They beat the Warriors, beat the Scotties.
The Scotties.
Yes.
Aye, laddie.
Yes. And then Mogador.
This was a tie game at halftime.
Yeah. Yeah. The rest of the game, though, it was all one-sided.
8-8 at half, and then Mogador took care of business.
And then tomorrow, this game's Saturday, East against Doane Community, and then Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. No problem with Allen.
Nope. That's a tough place to go and play for the Tigers. But once again, props for distrusting yourself. I would rather that than beating a team that you're superiorly better than.
Yeah.
You don't learn anything from that.
Absolutely.
So we can also tell you that Hoban got the win over Mount Vernon out of Illinois, I believe.
Yeah.
56-13, the final score. So the Knights are rolling right now.
Yeah, final from there. So there you have it.
We have Cardinal Mooney and Boardman.
Yeah.
Playing locally. We'll have that one on ysmlive.com. Don Riccatelli and Don Mastrilla are going to be on that call. So make sure to tune into that. But other than that game, that does it for week 6.
Yeah, week 6 in the books. Hard to believe we're heading down into the final stretches of, 4 weeks left of the regular season.
And then, really, in about 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about playoff position.
Yeah, then it becomes positioning, conference championships, where, you want to try and pop in. There we go.
Okay,
we'll take it. We
in the
will
nick
take
of
it.
Time, Eric, you got on. We were about to go on our outro. You're good timing, buddy.
Yeah, well, the game ran longer than most NFL games, and it was like a 20-minute drive.
You were not the last final to come in, though, Matt. That went to Wellsville.
You were next to last,
right there. So you weren't the longest game.
Yeah,
it was actually a very good game too.
Yeah, very back and forth. Louisville.
I was reading a message. My bad.
I got you.
Eric, let's talk about this game. We saw Mineral Ridge score to take the lead, 27-26. And from that point on, Louisville responded. Talk about what you saw from the Rockets to deal with that kind of adversity and to be able to bounce back from it and get those last 2 touchdowns to win.
I think this game was a lot more lopsided than the final score might indicate. Yeah, you did mention Mineral Ridge. They did go up there at one point in the third quarter, but Louisville, they really controlled the clock the entire game, really controlled the ground game. Gino Perry had a bunch of big runs in that second half, had a 60-yarder in the fourth quarter. Then the very next drive, he had a 50-yard that actually got in for a touchdown, and he was really he has 13 touchdowns down the season. He had 3 just in this game. He continues to dominate. Ricky Wowich also looked confident out there at quarterback, had 3 touchdown passes. Everything's great right now for the Louisville offense. Great bounce back one.
I like the gut check time. Ridge takes the lead, and then you get those last 2 touchdowns.
Mhm.
I mean, Lowville was like,
Mhm.
whoa, because I thought they were pretty much in control, and all of a sudden, Ridge just never quit in this game.
And I want to give Ridge credit because they did all that without their starting quarterback. I want to give our thoughts and good vibes to Owen Singledecker, who went down, and to do that with a backup quarterback. Bingham comes in to QB for them. And when did that happen? The first half. So like he has a backup the whole second
Third
half.
quarter.
So almost the whole second half.
Yeah.
And all that comeback came with the backup quarterback. So props to that Middle Ridge team for rallying behind each other.
Yeah, they didn't
and having each
quit.
other's
Next
back.
man up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made it a tough game. They had Bingham threw a 92-yard touchdown, backed up at his own
Yeah.
8-yard line. It was kind of like a fluke voice crack. It was kind of like a fluky play. He was just trying to like get rid of the ball because the pressure was counting, but a receiver was right there. No one was
I
able
was
to stop
watching
him.
it.
Took it all the way.
It was one of those ones where I'm sure their coach Shaner was like, no. Oh, yeah. You know,
Just how we
Yeah.
practiced that.
Yep. It worked out. It worked out for them at that point. When you look at Lowville, their run game was definitely the difference, controlling the line of scrimmage. Eric, what are they doing so well on the line?
Yeah, it's a very young offensive lineman. You got a couple of seniors on there. Great mix of young guys and some guys with more experience on there, but they've really gelled well so far this season. And that also it helps when you have a guy like Gino Perry running in the backfield also.
That helps. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having Mike Eccleston on the audible call. It just levels up the game immediately.
Yeah.
Look at him, he's blushing.
Yeah, you got me on that one. You got me. Eric, I'm just looking ahead here for Lowville. They got McDonald next week. That has always been a tough game.
Mm-hmm. Physical.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, McDonald, I saw they had a big win. Swarloo, like 35-0, I think it was. I know they're going to be a lot tougher this year than they were last year when Lowville played them. Definitely going to be challenged this year. It's in McDonald. That crowd's going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to that one.
What else are you looking forward to, Eric? Week 7, week playoff positioning. Lowville starting to really put themselves into that position. What excites you most about the last tail end of the season?
It's a young team. I said on the show last week, there's growing pains, but they really hit their stride in this one. I'm excited to see how much more they improve as the schedule gets a little bit tougher. Tonight was just the first game of their 3-game road stretch. They had McDonald next week and then Jackson Milton the following week. Come home for Waterloo for their senior night, and then they have to go to Springfield week 10, which is going to be a tough one.
All right, Eric, we're excited about it. I know you are too. Thanks for coming on with us and talking to us about that game. And great call. We'll see you back next week.
Yep, for sure.
All right, Eric Hughes, one of our great announcers.
Oh,
Calling
yeah.
a great game
Great
with
game.
Chris Ziegler, by the way. Those
Yeah.
two working together for, I believe, the first time this season. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but Ty Bartell did give an update. They did that. You got that right. You interpreted what he was saying right. They
Yeah.
called that Garfield game.
Yeah, called it and said that's it.
Yep.
Enough is enough. So,
So
and speaking of enough, I think we've done enough.
yeah, we've done.
Yeah.
We were right in our outro. We were in our groove.
Yeah,
We had to
No,
talk to Eric because
we
that
make-
was a great game.
we'll make that audible call anytime. But
Absolutely.
anyhow, we do appreciate you for joining us tonight. Hey, why don't you hop on over to WFMJ
Yeah,
Channel
we got
21?
About 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes, about roughly 9 minutes away.
Right.
Dana Ballish, sports director, and Brittany Bissell will be coming up with the overtime report. I'm sure they'll have lots of games, all the scores again for you. So tune into them. We love working with them. They're one of our partners. So make sure you do that. But we're glad you joined us for week 6. Some great games, some blowouts, but things are starting to kind of clear that path into, what teams have to do to make it, what teams got to do to maybe. We're about a week or so away from when we start talking potential home games, but conference crowns are up for grabs.
Absolutely.
This is what's big over the next few weeks. So we're glad you joined us. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll be back with week 7 audible call. We'll kick it off right around between 6:50, 6:55 next week. And then we'll have the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. We're sure glad you joined us tonight here on YSN. Again, there is action tomorrow. Boardman Mooney, correct?
Yep, Boardman, Mooney at Boardman. Yep.
Yeah. So you can catch that right here on the mothership called YSN.
Beat me up, Scotty.
We, as he says, beam me up. We are out of here for this week. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you back here for week